What is going on, Bulls Nation? So there are reports from Windy that there are no traction for the Zach Levine trade market. So what does it mean for the Bulls? Should we just prepare ourselves to just keep Zach Levine for the rest of the season? We'll talk all about it right after this.
Get the lowdown on one of the most iconic basketball teams in the world. You're listening to Chicago Bulls Nation.
All right, Bulls Nation. So from the most recent podcast from I think the collective with Windhorst, Brian Windhorst, he said that there are really no takers for the Zach Levine trade market. He is one of the biggest names, if you know, this past probably 2 years now, that it's been floating around out there for the trade market to an extent where last year it feels like the Bulls need to attach a first rounder for a team to take on Zach Levine. Now I'm completely against that. We do need those picks. We don't badly need to get rid of Zach Levine. We're trying to lose here. Last year was a different situation where we're trying to, create a roster spot, maybe sign a few players. Right now, even next year, I don't really see anyone on the free agent market. Even if we do have the cap space, for example, you trade Zach Levine for an expiring, that you would go ahead and sign outright, and that would make, be your star player moving forward. I don't see any name that stands out to me right off the bat. With that being said, I don't think this year you need to exactly do that. You don't need to attach anyone or reward the team that's going to pick up Zach. But you still want to do trade Zach Levine. What is the market now? Who are the teams that are willing to take on Zach? And what is the problem? Because he is playing very well this season. The biggest problem is the second apron. The change in the CBA for the NBA made it, if not difficult, impossible to trade Zach Levine. Because most teams, although they do like Zach, and mind you, if this happened 2-3 years ago, somebody would pick up Zach even though he's making 45-46 million a year. They're just going to pay the luxury tax, which I know some teams does not mind doing. But that is not just the penalty anymore. The penalty is you're going to lose a significant amount if you do go to the second apron, meaning you can't use your mid-level. It's going to be hard to trade players. I think you are, at some capacity losing your exceptions. So you're gonna be hard capped. There is a lot at stake, and if most teams viewed Zach Levine, and by I say most teams, I'm talking about contending teams, because those are the only teams that I see that is in need of Zach's services. Those teams are not viewing Zach as a second option. Zach, for those teams, is a good third option, a very good third option. Maybe a borderline second option. But you don't really pay third options $46 million a year. I guess unless you're Phoenix Suns and want to do it for Bradley Beal. So we're trying to look for somebody like the Phoenix Suns to take on somebody like Zach. There's a few teams in mind, but I don't know if they're willing to take that bet on Zach Levine. With that being said, should we just keep Zach Levine for the duration of his contract then, if we can't find any takers? I guess that's what's going to happen. I mean, what are your options? You can't waive Zach. You waive Zach, you still owe that money. You probably do the stretch provision, but what good would it do? I mean, as a Bulls team, you're trying to lose anyway. Zach kind of helps you win here and there because he's playing really, really well this season. He's one of the 3 players that scores more than 22 points per game at a 50% field goal percentage. He's very efficient. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes like last year. So I get why teams want him, but I also get why teams are trying to avoid him. Not because of his play, but because of the repercussions of acquiring such a talent. Now, what does it mean for the Bulls? A few days ago, I just made a video regarding our guard situation, and that doesn't even include Zach Levine or Lonzo Ball. That only includes Ayo, Kobe, and Giddey. with this being said, if you really can't move Zach, and if that is the case, and it seems like that is the case, I think you're going to have to move, as bad as it sounds for me, Kobe White. If you're going to be stuck for Zach for the next 2 more years, you can't wait till the season is over to get rid of Kobe White. And I'll tell you why, because that's going to create an Alex Caruso effect. Right now, Kobe is at a beautiful contract. It's very cost efficient at $13 million a year. Any playoff team would want to have Kobe White, and he has the most value, if not Ayo Dosunmu. I really don't want to give up Ayo, but if the thing for Ayo, if the trade is a first round pick, then possibly why not? But at a low first round pick, I'd rather keep Ayo, honestly, with that cost effective salary and the future that you can have with him. He's a two-way player. Kobe, on the other hand, is not playing well this season. He actually, it feels like, I know Ricardo mentioned it, he's playing like Zach LaVine last season, where he's kind of like forcing the issue. Kobe's still pretty efficient, he's still, getting his numbers, 3-point area, but he has on and off nights, and that happens a lot this year. And we can't afford to have like 5 guards on the roster. I mean, you could, but you're just, if you could turn Kobe into a first round pick, then why not? I think at this rate, with how much he is making and the production that he is, putting out there on the court, I think Kobe White can net you a first round pick, maybe protected, and maybe another young talent, so why not? Like, even if you lose Kobe White at this juncture, you're going to have, for example, start Giddey, then Zach, or Ayo, Zach, P. Will, and Nikola Vucevic. I think Vuce is going to be moved to whatever team, because his salary is not the same as Zach. But for Zach LaVine, I would love the guy to be traded. Make no mistake about it. I would just get a second rounder and expiring contracts at this point, simply because it feels like you can't move forward with Zach on the team. That's always hovering around your head. He's the best player on the team, and that's always going to be the case. And I want to move on from that. I want to give the reins to Ayo, to Josh Giddey, if he's going to be a part of this. But mostly Matas Buzelis is going to be the future of this team, and I want to expedite that process. And it feels like that is not going to happen while Zach LaVine is still viewed as the best player and the face of this franchise. I want to move him. But with that being said, if no one's going to take him, and if we need to attach assets, then by all means, please keep him. Try to make it work as much as you could, but do not build around him. By try to make it work, I mean, don't piss off anyone. And still give minutes to your young guys. Prioritize their growth. Keep Zach on the roster. Make his number good. But if you really can't trade him, then play it normally. If you need to bench him, bench him. But let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this news? Do you feel confident that Zach is still going to be traded this year? Or is he going to stay with the team maybe for the remainder of his contract? Let me know in the comments. Love to hear the thoughts. Thank you for watching.